So y'all remember that I promised y'all I was gonna give y'all a book review from Twyla Tharp, the Creative Habit. On my second time reading it, I did realize that it's an inspirational book. I wouldn't say it's the book that you would revise every now and then to kind of like revisit certain steps or certain technicalities that you might need during your art career, but it's a very inspirational one, especially when it comes to interdisciplinary kind of practice. If you're that kind of artist, I think you're gonna like this book. I like this book. I kind of like I prefer it to be more technical in that way. So far, different stages of your career, you get to prefer more technical books than Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit, Learn It and Use It for Life. How would I apply this to my art practice? And honestly, it's just inspirational. Twyla Tharp, I'll give you a little bit of context in a little bit, but this artist has like 30 plus years of experience in her field as a choreographer, and it's just essentially giving you an idea, like suggestions on how to really approach your day-to-day in your career as an independent artist, or if you respond to a gallery as an artist. Either way. So it doesn't matter if you're a painter, doesn't matter if you're a sculptor, doesn't matter if you're a writer, this book applies to you. It's a book review about the creative habit, of course. And in this book, I just wanted to cover the most important highlights that I found that were very useful to kind of engrave in your mind. I have various observations about this must-read, and it has always been in one of my must-read lists. So as a quick context, Twyla Tharp is a choreographer, artist, dancer that has been working for 30 plus years for traditional ballet and contemporary dance with different companies such as Geoffrey Ballet here in Chicago, so many other different pieces. She also directed these shows. So she's framing this book through her own experience and how she makes it relevant to to different kinds of artists. Doesn't matter if you're a writer, a sculptor, doesn't matter which discipline you're in. And I thought that was interesting to sort of like approach from her experience. And through time as an instructor, she was a student, she was an instructor, and overall an artist through all those years. And I thought it was very interesting to kind of like hear her a little bit about how she sort of framed this book, The Creative Habit, and what does that mean on your day-to-day as an artist. Why is this book relevant as an inspiration for your day-to-day as an artist? And I'll be able to share with you how it was relevant to me as well. So the very first chapter is called I Walk Into a White Room, and I wrote a lot from what she wrote in her book to kind of like try to make sense of all her thoughts and how all of these highlights just truly connect with one another and how it becomes overall just relevant. And yeah, I'm just gonna like read it and kind of like talk to you at the same time. So in a sense, she does say that creativity being augmented by routine and habit. It is the perennial debate born in the Romantic era between the beliefs that all creative acts are born of A, inexplicable act of inspiration, B, hard work. And I love this idea because it's just right off the bat breaks down the overall situation of like, what makes you such a successful artist? Is it just, because you were born with the talent? And no, you can develop your talent through just hard work. You don't have to be born with this talented situation. I don't know when did that come from. If you know, leave it in the comments below. I don't know. I would love to know. And you can also lose that talent or that hard work you know, through time, if you don't know how to keep it, if you just decide to just give it away and you don't want to do art anymore, whatever that might be looking in your life. But yeah, that's something very important I think you should ask yourself, about where do you see yourself into that debate. Also, she also says that no one can really give you talent. You have to get that yourself through hard work. Pretty straightforward. And then that creativity and skill rub up against, like they're always, you know, it is always an exchange between hard work, creativity and skill, inspiration and studio work, which is gonna be changing the lighting as we go. Thank you for being so patient with me. Also, something that one of my favorite kind of topics that she talks about. One of the chapters is called Rituals of Preparation. One of the highlights of that chapter, she says, make it easy on yourself. When you enter into them, they impel you to get started. When you enter into the rhythm of studio work, right? And I love that I do tend to complicate my life. I don't know about y'all, but I do tend to complicate my life a lot when it comes to trying to get into that zone, trying to get into that rhythm of creating that space of studio work and just get myself started on a project, or to give continuity on this channel. Y'all know, and we're all human. We're all artists in the same situation. I'm sure y'all have had those episodes, but I love the reminder. And I think it's important to remind ourselves, even through this book, that you have to make it easy on yourself to actually make it happen. Sometimes it's way more productive to make it easier on yourself. When you make things easier for yourself, you know, you're actually able to start. So she also says in that same chapter that I depend on my body in order to work. And I think that's interesting too. I see myself on that as well. I don't know about you. This can be another argument for a different time, but so many artists are just they don't see themselves as fitness people. I think that's a very important thing that we gotta talk about eventually at some point. But I think, you know, I do see myself as a fitness person a lot. I do a lot of fitness, and I just agree. I just agree with what she's saying, because, you know, how are you going to expect to make quality of work if your body is not being treated with quality? And then multitasking she kind of defines it as compromising your virtuosity. In the words of T.S. Eliot, you're distracted from distractions by distractions. I think it's a skill. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of multitasking. When I try really hard and try to assimilate it as a skill, I end up discouraging myself. I'm gonna change that ISO situation because it's raining. Thank you for your patience. So we do have your creative DNA, and I think your creative DNA, that's how she calls this other chapter, the third chapter, is called your creative DNA. And she says that it means that it's your creative autobiography. As far as I was concerned, she says, this young man was in DNA denial. I gave him a painterly exercise, and he gave me a text-heavy response. So she was making this exercise on an art class or something, where she just goes to this to the audience of students and says, okay, I am going to need you to give me a super experimental out there, whatever, you know, don't think hard about it, right? And just do something. It could be a performance, it could be something very painterly, it could be sound like, but just something that you're not planning at all. It's just, you know, I'm just gonna sit here and just you do your manifesto, whatever it is, right here. And then this guy, the student, who practices painting on the school, and then he made a text where he started creating these words that would create that painterly aspect of it, right? And then she sort of critiques this as, okay, why are you on painting and you're not giving me anything that has to do with color, actual painting? Well, you've been painting I don't know for how long, and then you're giving me a heavy text piece that talks about colors. It looks like you're even more proficient doing all of these writing where you actually illustrate all of these colors for me. Like, and then she brings the question, are you in DNA denial? Are you actually, this is something very personal actually to, in my opinion as well, to every artist, but it's important to really tackle that question. When you go, she went to this student and was like, is painting really what you want to do? Is because you made this super elaborate writing text, and is this something that you really want to do? So, or maybe, in my opinion, maybe it's just that he has that additional skill in that he could leverage one or the other of the, both of those practices. The next chapter that she calls Harness Your Memory. And then she says that one of the more successful executives I know, while most people in the workplace and in the arts think they have to be constantly looking forward to be edgy and creative, this man found that the real secret of creativity is to go back and remember. That's what I was doing in the archives, shadowing my predecessors. This is how you earn your ancestry. And then she made it as an exercise to connect with something old, so it becomes something new. So before you can think, also in another chapter, before you can think out of the box, you have to start with a box. And then the box as a way, she says, the box is a way of documenting thought processes, ideas organized by projects and processes, and that are finished. And the same way you're shadowing your predecessors, you're shadowing yourself. I find the box is most useful, predictor of success and failures as anything I know. But that's an interesting suggestion that she's making. It's a little bit more hands-on, where you actually literally, she says it more elaborated in the book, that you just take a box and you just put all your little Pinterest kind of pictures. It's a little bit more hands-on, more artsy, more crafty, if you want to call it like that. When you actually sort of like have this box of inspirations of a mix of unfinished and finished work from other projects that maybe you had in the past, in order to create new work. So it's almost like an archive where you can find yourself all of those materials that you have found as very short thoughts of a potential new start of a new project. And then scratching. I thought this was interesting, where she says that a fashion designer is scratching when he visits vintage clothing stores, studies music videos, a film director, an architect. So it's like I feel like I can connect a little bit whenever curators go scratching, and I feel like when curators go scratching is when they go out and they go see not just exhibitions, but especially those studio visits. And then she says also that scratching is what you do when you can't wait for the thunderbolt to hit you. As Freud said, when inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. I thought that was like an interesting kind of thought too, when you're just like waiting for that like beautiful moment of like, wow, I have all the answers right now. But when you don't, you go scratching, right? You go meet it halfway. Oh, and I thought this really hit me, because when she says that accidents will happen, this is like a different chapter, is when, to embrace luck, and that you have to really enhance your tolerance for ambiguity, and to plan only to a point. I think to plan for something is really important, but also having that room of ambiguity, having that space of, you know, of whatever happens here, you have the space to then, you have a space of luck. So she says on that same chapter that another trap is a belief that everything has to be perfect before you can take the next step. I know it's important to be prepared, but at the start of the process, this type of perfectionism is more like procrastination. I felt that. I don't know about you. I don't know if you felt that or not. If you felt that, put it in the comments below. But also that there's never an ideal balance between how many orders you have and how much inventory you're stocking. If you're an Etsy artist and, I don't know, you're selling earrings, you might feel this. And also that your expenses and your income are never exactly in sync, that one is always outpassing the other. It's better to be ready to go than to wait until you are perfectly ready. And Bollito, sorry, my turtle. It's better to be ready to go than to wait until you are perfectly ready. And I felt that. No matter how limited your resources, there's enough to get you started. There's always enough to get you started. When I didn't have a job, there was always enough to get myself started. And, you know, we can talk about this later in a different video. We can talk more about this in a different video, but when I mean in a, you know, we can talk about that. Just leave it in the comments below if y'all want to talk a little bit more about that. But, you know, that no matter how limited your resources, there's always enough to get you started. And I live that. It's true. We can talk about the tea on a different video. That necessity will continue to be the mother of invention. So it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how established of an artist you are, you're always gonna have some limitations, no matter what in your life. And yeah, I think there's a lot of like really valuable things that I found in this book that you could sort of like write down, put it on the wall, that you can just sleep to while reading it. And I hope this casual book review was helpful, was refreshing. I really hope you get the chance to have the opportunity to read it. I think it's really inspiring, and especially because Twyla Tharp is also embracing, above all, I don't know if you're like a routine artist, that you need that routine to give you a structure throughout the day and throughout your overall studio practice. Even though we don't follow through 100%, we always get back on track once we start following it again. And I can talk by that as well. I lived it too. And I think that's definitely just something that we really gotta embrace, is that really try to see if you can embrace that routine aspect of things. When you start from your body, depending on the practices that you bring in your body health-wise, maybe your work can actually change. And yeah, I really found a lot of very mirroring things in this book that I think you might identify yourself with it as well within your art practice, whatever that might be. Again, I hope this casual book review was helpful. Those were the super highlights that I really found super useful for this book. If those are the kind of highlights that you're looking for on this kind of book, by all means, just go ahead and look it up. Again, it's Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit. And yeah, I hope this video was useful. Thank you so much. To see y'all again, and I'll see y'all in the next video.